My name is Tofer and I'm a visual artist based in Los Angeles. I was exposed to art as a kid through my parents taking me to museums and through like art books. I was definitely highly influenced by cartoons. Getting excited Saturday morning cartoons and just being obsessed with just animation in general. Probably some of my earliest art memories are sitting at my desk in my bedroom with that lamp just shining on a piece of paper with an album or a CD next to me, or a tape, a cassette, and me copying the album covers of say like a Def Leppard album or a Guns N' Roses album or Rolling Stones album. And also too, I used to redraw Calvin and Hobbes comics, Garfield comics. Another memory that I'll never forget is the artwork of Robert Williams in Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction. He had a painting inside of that album packaging that just resonated with me, and it's like still in my head today. You know, it's just something that's like was super influential. And in junior college, I took my first oil painting class, and that's like when I immediately fell in love with painting, and I haven't stopped since. Architecture plays a huge part within my work. That'd be man-made architecture, natural architecture, and when I say natural architecture, I mean like mountain ranges, stalagmites that are growing out of the ground. The angles that you see within architecture have always been of great interest to me, and the idea of like a keyhole perspective, where you're just kind of seeing what's in front of you, knowing that there's a whole world to the left and to the right, and up and down. My work is dealing with what you're looking at through that little hole and kind of allowing my viewer to imagine the rest of the world. A trip that really impacted me as a kid was when my parents took me, or my dad took me to Bryce Canyon. I was like 6, 7 years old, had my Walkman on, and I just like went and just kept walking through this canyon and just looking at these rock formations and these colors, and I was just so sucked into this fantasy world that was reality. And to this day, it's just been something that has, I think, definitely impacted my practice. When I was invited to come paint for B Street Weekend, I was immediately drawn to this space. And it is so outside the norm from what I'm used to that I was like an immediate yes for me. I mean, how often do you get to paint inside a massive freezer? Definitely the metal walls, the untouched metal walls. That's like a defunct old mochi factory, essentially, this whole area that we're sitting in right now. I mean, I love to work big, and my work lends itself to a much larger scale versus say like a smaller scale. The impact is a lot larger. Pretty much what I'm doing is I'm taking what I'm doing in the studio and I'm bringing it to a much larger scale for a much larger audience. They're these public pieces, and anyone can see them. Anyone that drives by or walks by can see these pieces. When I approach a public piece or a mural or a painting, I want to build off of the existing architecture. So if it's a building, I want to make a mural that feels like it belongs there, and it's accentuating the existing architecture, adding to it and adding depth and adding dimension to it. I've been doing these murals recently where I'm actually building off of the architecture. So say the top of the building is here, I'll build that point off and it'll soar up into the sky. The installation I did in Nicaragua at Maderas Village, they actually ended up looking like they belong there. They blended in to the environment, like with the trees. The surface actually looked like the bark on the trees. When it rained, they changed color. For my public work and my studio work, the exact same amount of passion, and energy goes into each piece.